everyone. You are listening to the Rachael Maves Podcast, and I'm Rachael Maves, your host. This podcast is part of the lead up to the upcoming Measure What We Value Summit, scheduled for February 5th through 6th, 2025 in Fresno, California. This summit emphasizes honoring and amplifying student voices, fostering inclusive classrooms, and equipping educators with tools for impactful change. You can find more information at parsecsummit.com. Today, we are talking to Jimena Mendez. Jimena is the first student elected to the Los Angeles County Board of Education, the largest regional education agency in the country. As a student leader at Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, she is active in student government, film, and the ACLU's Youth Liberty Program. In her role as student board member, Jimena advocates for youth engagement, diversity in specialized schools, and systemic improvements in education and immigration. She aspires to work in Congress to create greater opportunity and equality for all. Jimena, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here today, and I can't wait to share more about my experience as a student board member.
Well, I am so grateful that you're willing to spend time with us. And like we talked about, thank you for finding space even outside to have this conversation. It does look like a beautiful campus.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm super excited. Of course, I had to take this opportunity to share my experiences. So, of course, I'll do anything.
Well, that's great. So, like all of our podcasts, one of the things that we like to start out with, Jimena, is just the opportunity to tell your story. Tell me a little bit about yourself, what brings you joy, the things that you love and are passionate about. Help us to understand you and how you got to the position that you are.
Yes. So, my name is Jimena. Like you said, I am the first student board member elected onto the LA County Board of Education, and I got elected on this position in 2022, so it was my sophomore year, and currently I'm a high school senior. So I've been on this position for about almost 3 years, which is pretty crazy to me because, yeah, and I basically represent the LA specialized schools. So we have two specialized schools, our Arts High School, which I currently attend and I study film there, and I also represent the other STEM school, which is also a high school that focuses on providing students extensive like math and science courses. So on these board meetings, I go and I get to speak the student point of view on certain issues and budgets and recommendations that the board brings. And something that I really love doing is I'm also really involved with like student government and leadership at my school. So I'm also the ASB president at my school, where I love to organize different food drives and clothing drives. And I love to help my classmates and peers. Also, like we've recently also held a college panel at my school. So we provide different resources to upcoming seniors, so rising seniors, and with different resources on college. And that's something that I really enjoy doing. I just love helping my community, and I love getting involved with my peers and other community members. And I also, of course, enjoy like volunteering. That's something I love to do. And as most of my community is actually undocumented or they're minority community, so I love to get involved with communities and organizations that support them. So, for example, like you mentioned, like the ACLU of Southern California, I love to go and learn more about how we can bring more mental health resources to our schools and how we can bring more arts education to our schools and, stop police brutality. And those are things that I love to learn more about and get involved with. And of course, I also love to hang out with my family and my friends.
Of course. How could you not? So tell me a little bit about your interest in film. That's pretty exciting. And for a senior to have that focus already, where did that come from? And tell me about that passion.
Yeah, and when I was a middle school student, I had a really strong interest in film and specifically like writing. I really loved writing, but I always like dreamed of like doing something in film, which is it's like a really interesting thing because now I want to do like political science. But I'll get more into how that happened.
That's a big shift.
It's pretty crazy, but.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, so I joined my high school. Well, when middle school, I was looking for arts high schools that had like film programs, and so my high school had a film program for students interested in pursuing like a cinematic arts career. And it's actually quite interesting because my high school, I have to like audition or create like a film and interview to get in. So it's like it's like a different process than a normal I guess like high school that you just like sign up and just attend. But yeah,
I'm always interested to hear that path into those places in the arts. So my daughter is in her freshman year, and she went to an art school for college, the Savannah College of Art and Design, which is just amazing. And it's always like watching her kind of go through where she wanted to land and what that process was, and whether or not she should focus on art or something else. Like it's a process and a journey to kind of find what that niche is.
yeah, it is. And actually, that's kind of like I was saying, what happened to me. So when I like first joined, I had the mindset of going to film school. That was actually like my goal. And but then when the position opened for becoming a student board member my sophomore year, I decided to join because at my high school, I was actually the only Hispanic student in studying film at my high school, which to me was actually really like shocking because Los Angeles is very a diverse student population. So it was just weird seeing like me being the only Hispanic, and that's something that I wanted to talk about as a representative for the specialized schools, which is why I actually applied for the student board member position originally.
So that was kind of your motivation around getting involved and wanting to advocate. And then how has it shaped that perspective on education for you?
Yeah, so when I first joined the position, that was something I first spoke about, was bringing more diversity into like to minority or to specialized schools and specialized programs, and bringing those programs to like minority communities that usually don't have like access to them. And while I was, advocating for that, we were able to establish like a diversity committee that focused on uplifting certain or uplifting minority communities and providing them different resources on how to get involved with specialized schools. But the more I was involved with that work, the more I saw how like important it was to provide a pathway to education to all sorts of students, no matter like their socioeconomic status, their racial ethnicity, anything. It doesn't matter. It's so important to give them the opportunity to education, and that's what shaped my passion for advocating for youth representation and advocacy in education, because I think that the students are the ones that point those issues out. Sometimes adults don't really see it, but we do, and we experience day to day. School, we go to school, and so having the accessibility to share our experiences in rooms filled with adults is something that is super important. And I don't think maybe if I didn't like mention this issue, maybe they wouldn't have seen it. So it's just something I'm really grateful for, being able to discover this new passion that I have.
I love that. And it's so, I find in my experience in education, sometimes people aren't taking advantage of opportunities because they just don't even know that the opportunities exist. So having a student be able to share with other students and community members, like, here are pathways and opportunities that you can take advantage of also. That's just really powerful, Jimena.
Thank you. Yes.
So how do you think hearing from students like you at our summit will help shape future decisions in education?
Yeah, so definitely I think that if we, involve more students in these conversations, I think kind of like what I mentioned, it's definitely allows adults to hear our point of view and sort of like pay attention to our needs. So whatever like needs that we, have, and if we don't have a student to like voice those needs, I think it's much harder for adults to see our needs, because they're not the ones that experience the day-to-day educational system. And so being able to have students like myself be able to represent those students who, are going to school and our classmates. I think that's super crucial for being able to take to creating a better educational system in the future. And so I just think it's super important to have youth voice in those spaces.
Yeah. So you've been with the National Student Board Member Association for the full 3 years that you've been on the board. Is that?
So it's around 2 years. So it was actually like my junior year. Yeah.
So what's one way you've grown or changed through your work with the National Student Board Member Association?
Yeah. So I think when I got involved, well, first, before I wasn't involved or aware of this organization, I kind of felt like sometimes alone through this process because I was the first student, and so there wasn't anyone before me to kind of teach me the ways of like how to manage board member role or how to voice the issues that I had. I kind of just had to figure it out. But by discovering this association, I actually discovered it through a conference that I went like my very first year, or second year actually, and it was in San Francisco. There's so many places, but in San Francisco, and there it was just a student like board member training with a lot of student board members, and some student board members were involved in this organization, and they introduced me to it. And when I was able to join, I was able to hear other experiences of student board members and, what they were doing, what type of work they were doing in their own district or county. And so that what they were explaining to me, it kind of inspired me, to do more. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that I could, do this. I didn't know I can like make my own recommendation or make like that diversity committee that I sort of helped establish. I didn't know I could, do that until a lot of students kind of helped me flourish my position and just like discover all the things that I can sort of do with it. And so it was really helpful in that way. And I think that I grew as a student board member because hearing other people's experiences helped me involve myself more with my position and take more advantage of it.
Yeah. And from what I've heard from others as well, it sounds like there's just a real community too. The other members connecting and learning from each other. Has that been your experience as well? And what has that been like?
Yes, definitely. So like I was saying, how originally I was feeling kind of like alone through the process. By joining this like association, I was able to like monthly meet with student board members or even have like a chat with them, and just like if I had any questions or if I had like a concern, I could just like text all the group chats and like with the student board members, and we would have monthly meetings on like certain things that we would like to increase our association, how we could grow our association. And just having access to that community made me feel like I wasn't going through it alone, like this position, I wasn't navigating it alone because we were all like going through the same process. And it was just really fun to just be able to connect and have a sort of community to just get to talk to.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to hear like you brag a little bit on the great work that you've done. What's one thing you're most proud of as a student leader?
Yes, so I think I was talking about this earlier, but I think it's definitely involving myself in our diversity committee that we first established. It was last summer, and we would have this committee to decrease our racial demographic gap in our LA schools and our diverse students. So it would allow more students to be involved in these schools and have a chance to be enrolled in them. And so it was me and a few other adult board members, as well as other cabinet members on the LA County Board of Education. And we would sit in a table, and for like the whole summer, we would meet like every 2 weeks. And so we would brainstorm different strategies on how to target our minority communities and give them the information on how to apply. Because like I was saying, we have to audition to enter the school. So it's kind of a different process, and a lot of students in my community don't really understand that. And so we would go to certain communities and we would provide them like art workshops or like sampling on how to do these auditions. And also something else we did was for first generation students, we were able to start like calling them and help them throughout their application process, because obviously as a first generation student, I think it's difficult to understand, especially with auditions, interviews, it's more difficult to go through that. And so we would like call them, and we would have a workshop, or that's a strategy that we established to make sure to call them and check in with them with whatever needs they have. And so different strategies like that we brainstormed, and we're able to help decrease that racial gap between our schools and our diverse students. And like I was saying, that's originally the main purpose why I was joining, to see more students like myself in my own school. And so I was really happy that we were able to do that. And actually now as a senior, the new freshman class, I'm seeing way more like diversity. So I'm really happy that those strategies were able to help bring more diversity to our newer class. And I'm just really happy to be able to take part of that work.
Yeah, and to see like the tangible impacts that it had. That's
exactly, yes.
So I want to wrap us up, but I'd love to hear a little bit. You're in your senior year, which is super exciting. What are your plans? What are your next steps? Where are you headed?
Yeah, so right now, actually, a few weeks ago, I finished my college applications. And so I'm super happy about that. And all my decisions come out in March. So I have like a month to wait. But I do want to study political science and hopefully, further my advocacy within youth and just help uplift them and, let them know that these positions are out there and their voice is needed. And so that's something I really want to continue. And I also would like to continue, my film. So I would love to like minor in film, or just like maybe on the outside, just do my own film projects, continue that, because that's something I really enjoy doing. So yeah, I do political science and film. So, but I'm just still going to wait for my decisions in March, but we'll see.
Awesome. Do you have one that you're holding out hope for that you'd really love to be able to get into?
Yeah, so I kind of want to go to, I want to go to Washington, D.C., but to get more involved with like the Capitol, so maybe like Georgetown or just like a school out there in the East Coast, because that'd be really nice to explore a different community and vibe than here in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Well, I saying all the good thoughts and best wishes for you, Jimena, and we'll have to keep me posted. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person at the summit.
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you so much for, having me. I'm super excited, and I was super happy to share my experiences today.
Yeah, thank you, Jimena. I appreciate your time today. Parsec Education is hosting the Measure What We Value Summit on February 5th through 6th in Fresno, California. Join us for impactful conversations on empathy, engagement, hard truths, and more alongside leaders like Shaka Booker, Rich Stoll, Jamila Liscott, Pepper Miller, and student speakers like Timmy Alori and Jimena Mendez. We have a promo for 25% off all summit tickets until January 31st. Seats are filling up fast, so make sure you secure your spot today. Get your tickets at parsecsummit.com.